So this was a dowel I cut a couple of days ago, and the Forester reacted very badly to the dowel, which was kind of surprising. Now when I went inside and I checked the angle rather carefully, the Forester had a great big wide convex bevel, and it tapered down to around 13.5 degrees in the last, say, 1/16 of an inch of the edge, and then it probably increased a little bit more after that right in the very apex. What I was figuring was the really low performance had to be a combination of the very high carbide content in this steel and the great big wide bevel, which is not very good for durability for a whole host of reasons. So what I did was I modified the primary grind and pushed the primary grind more down into the edge bevel, removing that great big wide edge bevel. This also allowed me to make the primary grind more of a V, because initially it was like true flat, like a machete. The primary grinds were almost 100% flat. It was causing it to bind a lot in the wood. So I figured the poor performance on the dowel could have been through a whole host of reasons like that. So to eliminate most of them, took a 50 grit aluminum oxide belt, put a transition bevel right here, blended it right back into the main primary grind on both sides. So now you've got a very high and very deep flat grind with a very small secondary edge bevel, and I increased the angle of the secondary edge bevel between 16 and 17 degrees. So I'm hoping that combination of increasing the edge angle and lowering the primary grind will allow me to retain the high level of cutting ability but increase the edge durability. Now the trick is this going to maul the edge of the knife again? Interestingly, right away you'll notice it's not going through it nearly as easily as it did. And again, that's not surprising because I bumped up the edge angle, which lowers the cutting ability. So I'm having to chop in through it a lot harder. Nope, the edge is still mangled 100%. It completely obliterated the edge again. It's difficult to see on the camera. I'll take a few high magnification shots. I'm not getting the large chipped out regions like I did before. You can even see right here, that's one of the original chips from the other day. But the entire edge has been cracked off right in the impact region. So even between like 16 to 17 degrees per side, still cannot handle the fiberglass. And what's even worse now, because I've had to increase the edge angle, the cutting ability is lowered and I'm having to chop into it even harder, which raises the stress on the edge. I think the only way to actually make this edge durable enough to cut through the fiberglass would be if I put a flat grind on it all the way right down to the edge and then back sharpened, so the edge was only about, say, 0.010 of an inch thick. That would give it a really high level of cutting ability. Then with, say, a 20-degree bevel, it might be able to do it. But if I put this edge at 0.010 of an inch thick, it wouldn't be able to handle chopping. It would actually, the primary grind would ripple. So we didn't fix the durability issues with the edge. The edge is still, even like I said, at around 16 to 17 degrees per side, it's still cracking up visibly. Not microchipping, like I can visibly see the edge damage right here. And the edge is gone. When I mean the edge is gone, I mean it has no fine cutting ability whatsoever. You can't cut any light vegetation with this at all. So I mean, yeah, it'll still chop wood. So here's the blunted section of the blade. No problem powering through a couple of pieces of wood. But that's because, again, the blade grind is relatively thin, the edge is thin, the edge is only 16 to 17 degrees. Still has a high level of cutting stability even when there is no edge whatsoever. This edge is completely gone. But you will have difficulty trying to do any fine cutting instead of one cut light vegetation at all And to take a page from the Samurai Shark Dude, I believe it is. See a difference now. This is the section of blade that stalled, does absolutely nothing. If I move to a section down here, which didn't cut much of it, so you can see the dramatic level. So this is the close to the initial level of sharpness right here. Easily cuts through this dirty old piece of foam. But if you go through the section that hit the fiberglass, it's nothing. You're essentially wearing through it. And that's how dramatic that was. Total loss of edge retention, 100%, completely blunt with just a dozen or so chops through the fiberglass rod. Again, no wear, no deformation, 100% chipping right through the entire edge.